This is the port of Rotterdam, located in the province of South Holland in the Netherlands. It is one of the largest and busiest ports in the world. It plays a crucial role in the import and export of goods and raw materials, not only in the Netherlands, but also in the whole of Europe. Although located in the Netherlands, it is often referred to as the largest German port, due to its immense significance to the German economy. In 2022, it generated direct revenues for the Dutch economy amounting to almost 783 million euros. However, this is just a small part of the advantages of having such a large port in the country. The Port of Rotterdam brings numerous other benefits to the Netherlands, making it a highly attractive destination for foreign investments. The Netherlands is a truly world-class destination for business activity and has a very competitive international climate. In fact, according to the World Competitiveness Ranking 2022, it ranks number 6 in the world. The Netherlands scores high on business efficiency and on infrastructure, and performs particularly robustly on the business efficiency-related indicators like labour market and finance. It is undoubtedly one of the top 10 countries with the best infrastructure in the world, and is quite often compared with South Korea. The perfect network of highways, modern airports and seaports could overshadow almost every other country in the world. Surprisingly, this tiny country is the world's second largest agricultural exporter, after the United States, and would have enough food to feed its 17 million people even without trade. In 2022, the Netherlands exported 122.3 billion euros worth of agricultural goods. This growth was attributable to higher prices and increased volume. Since 1995, the volume of Dutch crop and animal agricultural production has grown by 20%, without significantly increasing natural gas consumption and with reduced fertilizer use. Their centrality in global food exploration is indisputable. 15 out of the top 20 largest agri-food businesses, Nestlé, Coca-Cola, Unilever, Cargill and Kraft Heinz, have set up major research and development centres right here. With their limited land and a rainy climate, the Dutch have become masters of efficiency. However, this is not just limited to agriculture. They have highly developed industries. Similar to Japan and South Korea, the country is poor in resources, so it imports cheap resources and exports abroad high-quality, ready-to-use products. They actually produce almost everything it needs. It is home to companies of all sizes and sectors. Quantum computing, artificial intelligence, technology startup innovation, and sustainable innovation are all top tech fields within the region. Big tech giants like IBM, Microsoft, Google, Oracle, Cisco, Philips, and the sports car brand Spyker Cars have headquarters and centres in the Netherlands. Its leading financial sector, large network of tax treaties, low corporate income tax rate, and a full participation exemption for capital gains and profits make the Netherlands one of the most open economies in the world for these multinational corporations. All of this makes the Netherlands a strong economy, ranking as the 17th largest in the world. Its total economic output, also known as nominal GDP, reached an impressive $1.013 trillion in 2023. Not only is the Netherlands wealthy as a nation, but the Dutch population is one of the richest in the world, with GDP per capita of $72,973. However, this wealth can sometimes be deceptive, and there are valid reasons for this notion. In the Netherlands, the increasing cost of living has led many to feel financially strained, even though the country might seem prosperous on the surface. In September 2022, the Dutch economy experienced the highest inflation rates compared to other Western European countries, hitting 14.5%. While it's currently on the decline, the core inflation rates remain stubbornly high. People often use the phrases inflation and cost of living as if they were synonymous. But they are not the same, although they're closely related. Inflation is the big picture. As the cost of goods and services rises, the buying power of the dollar falls, whereas cost of living refers to the amount of money required to sustain a certain standard of living, including basic necessities such as housing, food, healthcare, education, transportation, and other essential goods and services. So, how does the rising cost of living impact the Dutch economy? Well, it's simple. As the cost of living increases, it puts pressure on household budgets. There has already been some sign of this. with retail sales growth figures being negative since reaching an all-time high of 13.5%. However, there are even more worrying signs for the near future when it comes to measures of consumer confidence. This index measures attitudes towards the economy overall and people's personal financial situations, and is now at the lowest level since the peak of the financial crisis back in 2008. The big picture is that Europe's economy has achieved a recovery after the global financial crisis, but it hasn't fully bounced back. Among them, the Dutch economy has experienced the slowest growth. One major factor contributing to this sluggishness is the weakness in consumer spending and household consumption. This decline in consumer confidence is mainly due to the anxiety caused by soaring house prices. Since 2008, housing prices in the Netherlands have increased exponentially. The average home now costs a staggering €424,681, which is more than 10 times the modal income of €40,000. From 2015 to 2021, average household disposable income increased by 25%, but house prices rocketed by 63%, fueled by low interest and a national shortage of 390,000 homes. By the peak of its housing boom last year, houses in hotspots had increased by more than 130% since the end of 2013. Although house prices have dropped by 6%, and the Central Bank of the Netherlands has predicted that they will continue to fall in the future, it is not enough to correct the recent extreme price rises. To solve the problem, the government aims to build 900,000 homes by 2030. But the high price of raw materials, increased borrowing costs, and nitrogen pollution from building work are already a challenge. The housing crisis is extremely serious and has worsened in recent years. The number of homeless people has doubled, a quarter of renters struggle to pay their bills, class differences have become more pronounced, and young people, especially those with low incomes and no wealthy parents, are finding it particularly tough to secure housing. So, why are prices so high? Of course, low supply and high demand for houses are increasing the prices. For the sake of simplicity, let's first address the demand side. Over the last 30 years, there has been a consistent set of politics based on the ideology of home ownership, encouraging everyone to buy. The government's beneficial schemes for investors and Europe's most generous mortgage interest tax relief for individuals are incentivizing people to purchase homes. As a result, the Netherlands has the highest household debt to GDP ratio in Europe. Moving on to the supply side, insufficient house building in the past decade is the obvious case for this housing crisis. In 2022, more than 74,000 new-build homes were completed. That is the highest number of new-build homes since 2012. However, there has not been sufficient growth in the last few years. The main reason the Netherlands is not able to achieve its new home build target is what they call the stikstofcrisis, or nitrogen crisis. Simply put, every municipality has a nitrogen budget. To build all forms of infrastructure, houses and roads, builders need nitrogen permits, or they are required first to reduce nitrogen emissions. The economy is taking massive hits due to all these ideological policies which have never been proven to be effective in the creation of better homes for the people who want to live in them. The fact is that the Netherlands is the second biggest nitrogen polluter in the Eurozone. In recent years, nitrogen compound emissions are a big matter in this small, densely populated country, and becoming the dominant political issue over the course of a 4-year crisis. The crisis has polarized social opinion, spurring the rise of a new rural populist movement and mobilizing environmentalists who are desperately concerned about the state of wild habitats. The government is tackling nitrogen pollution through a 30% reduction in the number of pigs, cattle and chickens in the Netherlands. Additionally, the government has stated that Dutch farmers will be paid the full value of any land, cattle or machinery they have to take out of production, and they will receive subsidies to convert to ecological farming. However, forcing heavy industry to cut emissions sharply is simply raising costs. This step ultimately hurts the economy and the end consumer, who is already suffering from the soaring cost of living. Overconstruction and understaffing are now global problems, but they are particularly acute in the Netherlands. The country has run out of space, and other overdeveloped places such as the Bay Area, New York, and Singapore may also follow, facing the challenge of running out of room for new workers and businesses. Much of the Netherlands is below sea level, presenting Dutch engineers with unprecedented challenges compared to engineers from other countries. In an effort to protect their country from the rising sea level, some of the best scientists in the world have achieved remarkable feats in the Netherlands, such as the creation of movable barriers that protect the city of Rotterdam from floods in bad weather conditions. The system is so perfect that it can react by itself, automation, without the need for human intervention. Over the last decades, a few nations in the world have succeeded in turning their disadvantages into advantages, and the Netherlands is one of them. However, automation alone wouldn't fix issues like labour shortage, an ageing population, and construction challenges. The Dutch economy is strong, but has slowed down due to its bureaucracy. It became the first country to prioritise climate over GDP. This raises the question, can a rich nation be happy if its economy stops growing?